Let's go to the Nigerian authorities now considering plans to allow the listing of US dollar-denominated currency securities such as bonds issued by local firms on the domestic stock market. This is the latest in a string of efforts by the Nigerian government to shore up FX liquidity in Africa's biggest economy. My guest on this is Tajudeen Ibrahim, the Director of Research and Strategy at Chapel Hill Denham, an investment services firm and a four-time winner of Euromoney Awards as Africa's best bank for advisory services. Good evening, Tajudeen. It's good to have you on the show tonight. Thanks for coming through.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. Let's get straight to business. Talk to me about why you think a dollar-denominated local bond offerings on the Nigerian market could be a game changer for the economy facing serious FX liquidity at the moment.
I think it will be a game changer because we are in a situation where we currently do not have enough liquidity in terms of US dollars in the foreign currency market. So if we have a situation where we can develop a product that will solve our foreign currency challenges, it will be a remarkable development in my view, and it will solve a lot of our problems in terms of foreign currency challenges, speaking about dollar scarcity in this case. So if the capital market is able to solve that problem, it will be a major positive for the market and also for the entire economy. And I sense that neighboring countries in the West African region may also begin to learn from us as a country and also as a financial market. I think it is a remarkable idea, and it is something that, if implemented, can help us to solve our foreign currency scarcity problems.
Your institution, Chapel Hill Denham, is one of the largest investment services group in Nigeria. So I'm sure you folks has the whole team that can walk through the structure, how to structure a dollar currency bond, private issuers on the Nigerian market. How do you think it will work? Give me an idea.
So if we look at what we are looking at in this case, it is listing on the NGX where we have companies listed. So this product, to my mind, can be structured as an investment company. In this case, we are talking about we're talking about a closed-end fund or a closed-end company. In this case, where you are able to issue via an initial public offer, you issue units, and then after the IPO, you are able to list on an exchange. So in this case, I am looking at it as an investment trust. And just like we have companies that are listed on the exchange and investors are able to buy and sell their shares by way of those shares providing liquidity, I would expect that such an investment company will help us to provide liquidity in what we currently consider little or no liquidity inside as an asset class. So this is me looking at currency as an asset class, where we all know in this country that we have illiquidity challenges, and if we structure a product that looks like an investment trust and get listed on the exchange, it will provide liquidity in the process. That is how it can be structured. It can be structured as an investment company, in my view.
But we have a number of US dollar-based currency mutual funds right now in the Nigerian market, managed by some of the local investment firms licensed by the SEC. Do you think these managed existing funds, which were created over the last 5 or 10 years, so many of them in number by some of the big firms in Nigeria, do you think these funds can also be listed on the exchange, which are dollar currency based? Perhaps at the end of that, we can create an index to them. And do you think that would be an attraction for foreign portfolio investors for these existing mutual funds, dollar based?
I think these funds that you are talking about are naturally speaking, traditional mutual funds. And, this will not be the funds that we will be looking at under this scenario. As we speak, we have about $720 million in the size of those mutual funds that you are looking at. The size has grown from about $410 million in 2020. But the reality in this case is that we have dollar scarcity, we have dollar illiquidity, and we want to solve that problem. What comes to my mind is in a situation where we have an investment trust that will provide liquidity in a situation where we have dollar illiquidity. So that is what can solve it. The other ones you mentioned are open-ended funds, but we are in this case looking at closed-end funds that can embark on an IPO, I say it again, and also after embarking on IPO is able to list on the exchange, and after listing we will begin to see liquidity flows in the market, and also that will help us to solve our illiquidity problem as far as currency, in particular dollar, is concerned as an asset class. No doubt we have liquidity in the other mutual funds that you talked about earlier. So closed-end funds, to my mind, is what really will be the game changer.
How quickly do you think such a bond could be put together? For example, Chapel Hill Denham, you run NIDF, for example, the Nigerian Infrastructure Debt Fund, doing well on the market in local currency terms. How quickly do you think Chapel Hill, for example, could put a US dollar currency fund together and then float it on the market, do an IPO? Who do you think the investors will be? Do you think it will do well within the environment, considering the fact that the central bank had always talked about quite a huge number of dollars, currencies, sitting in what you can call dorm accounts in various banks? Do you think the banks, companies earning foreign currencies could be subscribers to such an IPO?
So let me start from the dorm accounts that you mentioned. My estimate is around $13.7 billion, which is the balance of dorm accounts in the banking system as at the end of March. So which means that we have those dollars sitting in domiciliary accounts, and a better way to utilize those dollars will be to invest them in securities that can generate US dollars, that can also pay dividends in US dollars. Let me not forget these major points, that we currently have Airtel Africa that is listed on the NGX that is paying US dollars to investors as dividends. How quickly can this be packaged? I think, to my mind, if we start to begin to do the paperwork from now, the ideas are already flowing around. But if we look at it, this is me speaking my mind, personal view in this case. I think 2024 looks more like a period that such a fund can be put together, and then we will have an initial public offering where investors will be able to subscribe, and post-subscription we will see such a fund listed on the exchange. I think we will have one of the major capital market operators leading in this regard, and over time my mind is that we will see more capital market operators begin to package such products and sell to investors. If we have more of such funds in the market, my mind is that liquidity will improve in that asset class called currency, and which in this case is US dollars, in my view.
Yes, so there are fund managers who are looking to where to put dollar currency investments everywhere in the world. And I'm sure you know that the GSE, the South African stock market, has many of these funds as well, which of course are able to attract foreign inflows from outside the country. So do you think if we put this kind of package together, a US dollar-based currency bond, do you think that will attract big names from the Western markets, from Asia, from elsewhere, who are looking for the backing of the market, something that is on a structured market like the Nigerian exchange, for example, or the FMDQ or so, to bring such a thing to the market, give confidence, and bring the such needed FPI that Nigeria is currently looking for right now?
I think it is very possible if we consider the fact that what really matters to investors is the ability to, number one, see liquidity in the market, number two, to have sizable returns on their investment. So it is going to attract foreign investors, in my view. If we consider the fact that Africa, generally speaking, has high-yielding Eurobonds in issuance by the government, by the corporates. We have those in issue, and they have compelling yields, more compelling yields compared to what you will get in advanced markets. So I think that will be a positive one for consideration by some foreign investors, and it can help us to attract more of such investment flows into Nigeria, particularly if they are convinced around, number one, I say it again, security of their investment. Number two, liquidity. Number three, a lot more compelling returns compared to what they will get in advanced economies. I think it will go a long way in putting Nigeria further on the map of, global map of investment if we have such a product. It will be a positive one, I think.
So let me harvest your thoughts on using the structured financial markets to attract FX-based diaspora inflows. $22 billion on average for Nigeria. That's quite a whole lot of money. So you've got the DOM account, about $13 billion there. You've got the diaspora funds, about $20 billion. So put together, we have something that is close to about $30 billion that Nigeria could harvest. Do you think we can have something structured specifically for diaspora to inflow their FX into Nigeria along the new thinking? And if so, do you think such structured funds could also be listed on an exchange?
Yes, I think it is something that can be achieved if you consider the size of diaspora inflows, most of which do not come into the official market. I think every individual will be willing to invest their US dollar or foreign currency inflow in the capital market, particularly if they recognize that, number one, there is provision of liquidity. They easily can come in of such a structured product, and also they easily can come out of such a structured product. The second and possibly more compelling issue will be around the returns that they can generate on such investments. Most of the diaspora inflows that come in these days only benefit from the weakness of the naira in terms of the exchange rate. Most of them do not benefit, from investment returns. They do not benefit, from those high returns that can be generated when such funds are invested over like a period of time and then called back, post maturity, or at least, traded on an exchange. So I think it will be a positive one for most Nigerians that receive, inflows of foreign currency from abroad. And it is something that, we will have to put the government in the picture in this case, because such a product, for instance, can also be considered by the government, and we will have, it securitized with our oil inflows, for instance, or we have it securitized with our gas inflows, and such a product is packaged, and possibly we have more investors in that space, both locally and also foreign investors in this case. It is possible, in my view.
So we need to move on very quickly. Which government agencies do you think other parties should work together as quickly as possible to achieve some of those game-changing ideas that we've been talking about? And you said you market professionals are already thinking along that line. Which government agencies do you think need to come together into the room? Do we need to talk to the SEC? Who needs to be in the room to have very robust conversation, perhaps tweak around some of the market legislation and get a go?
I think very central to this, strategy, or let me call it idea, number one, for instance, the Central Bank of Nigeria is very crucial in this case. Also, the Minister of Finance, and we bear in mind that we now have the Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy. So he also, the leadership of that ministry also has to be in the room. We should also have, some very strategic, very experienced capital market operators also in the room, alongside the NGX, the Nigerian Exchange, and also the Securities and Exchange Commission in this case. So we have to come up with the rules and regulations around it, and we have to understand what are the elements in terms of risk and how those risks can be urged for investors and also for the country. So those are the major parties I believe should be in the room, and my sense is that discussion can start as early as this year, and then possibly in 2024, before the end of 2024, we should be talking about having the desired results.
All right, we thank you so much. That's really an insightful drill down on economy and the markets conversation on this currency dollar-based securities listing for Nigeria. Thank you so much, Tajudeen Ibrahim at Chapel Hill, Denham. We thank you so much. Have a great evening.